Hello, everyone. How are you doing this fine and wonderful evening? I hope all of you are prepared for the potential disaster that is about to happen this evening. We shall find out. I am Miko, your humble host for tonight's festivities. I will also be the GM for these fine and lovely people that I have at my virtual table tonight, and I could not be more happy to have them with me. You can, I think, benefit most from learning about who these people are and the characters that they're going to be playing tonight. So let's go ahead and start with that. And just to shake things up, Deb, you introduce yourself and your lovely character that you are playing tonight.
Great. I'm Deb, and I am playing Cassia Artezi. She is a knowledge domain cleric with some secrets and some powers, and I'm real excited to see what we're getting into tonight.
Yes, indeed. And fear not, everyone has some secrets, and I am fairly certain there's going to be some secrets revealed tonight. But, you know, we'll get there. Let's continue this hype train. And please, Kevin, tell us who you are and who you're playing tonight.
Hello, I'm Kevin, found online at the socials at KevRan Games. I'm returning as everyone's favorite obnoxious wizard, blade singer, Develian Illustriel, who is seemingly not with the party tonight as they awaken from being knocked out somehow. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully I'm okay. Glad to be back.
Quick, let's move on. Ian, please introduce yourself and your character.
Don't worry, I'll clean this up, you guys. I got it.
Save us.
Right. What's going on, everybody? I'm Ian, or on all socials, your boy Big, and I play Ekris Shordraken, the Dragonborn. I think somebody coined this war barb last stream. Somebody said it. I read it somewhere.
I like that.
And yeah, we all have secrets. It's about to get spicy.
Definitely gonna get spicy. Speaking of spicy, Beth.
Oh, hey.
Hi there.
Love that. Hey, I'm Beth, and I am playing Oscar Barrick, the human fighter, military strategist guy who basically is fine with Develian in general. I mean, he doesn't really have any issues with him at all, so this should be a piece of cake.
None at all.
Yeah, you like me the most, I think.
Yes, besties.
And speaking of issues and cake, Jeremy.
I have issues with not having cake right now. I think that's the biggest issue.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Jeremy. I'm here on this channel. You can find me on Twitter at WHPubs. And I am playing Zorvir. I forgot my name for a moment there. I don't think Zorvir actually has any secrets.
Sorry, was that out loud?
Flashback to the intro of episode 1.
I mean, it's a secret then everyone knows now. We shall see.
Do they know it though? I mean,
they don't know it, but the audience knows.
Well, they might know a little bit, but we'll get to those secrets eventually. Maybe not tonight. Maybe not tonight, but we'll figure some of them out. And yeah, that's our lovely cast tonight. Personally, I also want to give a quick shout out to Jay and Peku for the lovely scene that I have graciously been allowed to use as the backdrop to our virtual set tonight. You can see that loveliness in the bumper scenes. And also Tabletop Audio, because Tabletop Audio is flippin' amazing. Go to tabletopaudio.com. They are not a sponsor by any means, but I love their stuff, and they deserve all the praises that folks can give to them. And
if you want to sponsor us, Tabletop Audio, we love you. Come on over, join the party. You know.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Or at least send us a
about
t-shirt.
Asking people for that sort of thing.
T-shirt, yeah.
And yes,
I'm all about magnets.
Just so you guys are aware, I do have a head cold tonight, but I am drugged up and dosed up on tasty things, and going to power through this lovely adventure, and hopefully my players do not take too much advantage of my debilitated state. But speaking of debilitated state, let us jump in and explain a little bit about where we are and where we left off. So, welcome to the world of Ysterra, a magical world built more or less with the power of a dying deity that in their dying throes imbued the celestial body that is the world with their own power, and that power was given grace to be used in the evolution of the world. That most significantly manifested in the Ascendant, powerful beings born throughout the millennia of the world's existence since the fall of that great deity that have been tasked with the sole burden of protecting the world from the many, many threats that exist in the multiverse that could cause Ysterra and her denizens harm. In that threat, they have inadvertently caused their own harms to the world, tangential things that have affected the evolution of the world in many ways. However, very little of that was done with purpose and intent, and the denizens of the world have thrived in the result. We ourselves are currently playing in the setting a little bit further back in history from the modern day of Ysterra. We are back to the time of Intrescan might, an era of steel supremacy, if you will, where the country of Intresca had conquered virtually almost all of the main continent of forgot the continent name. Wow. I know a lot about my world, don't I?
Intresca?
Nope, that's not it.
Nope.
Insaris, that's the continent name.
Hey.
Had conquered Insaris, all but the wild tribe lands. And in this time of great conquest in which Intresca had conquered all of these peoples and cultures of the world, of the known world anyway, things were not, shall we say, lovely everywhere in the great empire of Intresca. And parts of it had definitely started to feel the weight and the burden of such a enormous influence of the great Intrescan Empire. Particularly the influence of the Lord Emperor Geronton, who stylized himself to have the power of an ascendant, to be blessed with his own might and prowess, and using that might and prowess as he saw fit. There had begun to be rumors, though, that the Emperor might be slowly going mad, that the events of the past few decades were leading to perhaps a downfall of the Empire itself, as cracks seemingly had begun to form in the great Intrescan society. And that is where we find our current players. They themselves have been tasked by the Lord Emperor to investigate a supposed rebellion thriving in the easternmost areas of Intresca that had finally reached the Emperor's ears. And in their quest to find and quell this rebellion, they ventured their way across the mighty empire, seeing virtually all of the gamut of peoples and places and different fields that could be represented in such a great and vast kingdom. And in doing so, before reaching the farthest reaches of the east, they found themselves under attack at one point. A violent assault, a surprise attack as it were, with an avalanche of stone and hewn trees rending a significant portion of their mighty caravan that they had gathered and killing a great number of people. They fended off this attack, were able to successfully resurrect a few of the fallen individuals, but certainly not all, and were given notice that put them on the trail of a group known as the Reclaimed, a organization that fit the bill for what they were looking for with this rebellion of sorts, and one that had some nefarious purpose and goals at its heart. Going to the stronghold of these individuals, they found a zealous group, seemingly spurred on by a perhaps unhinged or somewhat unhinged holy man who had warped the teachings of one of the Ascendant to fit his own agendas, and ended up managing to slay these individuals. And as they investigated further, they discovered that there was certainly more to this rebellion than it seemed, as this organization might have once been part of the rebellion, but now maybe have fallen out of favor, and they had hints and clues that pushed them further east to investigate further and find the true source of the rebellion. In this, after having met a great many of the people that suffered not just from the Empire, but perhaps also in some ways suffering from the Reclaimed as well, they steeled themselves and ventured their way east. And then darkness struck. Falling asleep one night at their usual campfire, a couple of days perhaps out from the city, or the township rather, that they hoped to be able to find more information, that is not where they woke up, though. Their watches seemingly were never completed. Sleep found them all perhaps a little too easily, and most of the party, sans one individual, one portion of their group, found themselves awakening inside of a small room, windowless, with a single door, very Spartan, with just a large couch, a couple of chairs, and a small table. Several of them bound, and all of them with a foul taste in their mouth, making it a little bit difficult to speak clearly. A bit of cotton mouth effect, certainly a staggering amount of dryness and sore throat to accompany their sore and aching muscles, seemingly as if they had slept for days. And here we find Barrick, Asia, Zorvir, and wow, brain not working. I apologize, Ian.
Akris. That's
Akris.
Me. There it
Thank
is.
you. And Akris, all of you awakening in this room. It is worth noting, Barrick is the only one that does not have his hands tied behind his back. However, Zorvir, Cassia, and Akris, your hands are not bound tightly. Like, they're not bound wrist to wrist. There is a small gap of rope in the bindings that just keep them behind your back. It's essentially just enough to keep you perhaps from being able to use your hands for a somatic component to a spell. But regardless of that, all of you ache. You feel tense, and your body is stressed and sore from whatever endeavors led you into this room. And most notably, given the passive perceptions of most of you, it is very apparent that Develian is not in this room. I would, however, like all of you to please roll perception checks for me at this point.
That is a 25.
Ow. All right,
22.
then. Okay.
16.
Yep.
30.
Dang.
Okay, Birdman, simmer down
Almost
now.
as high as I could roll. I missed it by one.
Damn. Yeah. So,
That's a yes.
3 of the 4 of you are able to hear quite clearly the sounds of the Prime Sea. The vast ocean of the world is chaotic and tumultuous. It writhes with enormous waves all the time. There is no lull in it, as Ysterra has 3 moons, and the cascade of tidal forces wreaked upon Ysterra by those 3 moons means that the oceans are virtually impassable by all but creatures born under the waves of the Prime Sea. And it is maybe an unfamiliar noise. Like, it actually kind of makes sense that Akris wouldn't necessarily hear this, because I don't think Akris has ever seen the Prime Sea. He's probably never traveled to the coast. Beric, Zorvir, and Cassia makes more sense that they would have, at some point or another, at least seen the coastal seas and the chaos of them, and you can hear that chaos thrumming against rock and sand in the far distance. As muffled as it might be, some of you just have mutant-like hearing and are able to hear such things.
30.
However, all of you, Akris included, are able to hear a what sounds like footsteps on the other side of the door. As you begin to stir, it sounds as if someone is running with expediency away from the door. And Jeremy, because you rolled a fucking 30, I will say that you know definitively that that individual is light of foot and probably small.
Got it.
Just because, generally speaking, normal-sized adults, their footfalls are heavier on, wood and stone surface, and, smaller individuals, they're lighter and sound. That kind of rapidity of their gait implies to Zorvir that it was a small person running away from the door at the slight noises that you all make as you all come to consciousness at relatively the same time.
Does this taste in my mouth and this feeling, do I know what it is?
You can give me a either nature or medicine check if you like, and I will allow one of the other 3 members of the party to also make such a roll if you would like to do so, but not everyone, please.
I have advantage. I don't know if
you have advantage on these checks when it's related to dragons.
Is it related to dragons? Is this like
me? It happened to me, a dragon.
No, it does not qualify in this case. You're getting that from your Dragonstone amulet, so it's a special thing that is related to interactions with dragons and dragon-like beings that you interact with.
I only have a +3, so be that as you may.
I got a 24.
Okay.
Like to shout out to Fanroll Dice for the first 2 awesome rolls of the evening.
Fanroll Dice, we love you guys.
Right?
Send him some shittier dice, please.
Right?
Never.
Yeah. This, I think, is actually appropriate because given some of Zorvir's history, particularly with the difficulties in the situation with his wife and, that whole personal situation that we touched on in episode 1, he is familiar with sleeping aids. He is familiar with various herbal and medicinal concoctions that are used to help a person fall asleep. And this very much feels to him like a side effect of a sleeping aid being taken or imbibed for too long.
Okay. Do I know of any effect that it's going to do as far as keeping our magic subdued?
It might be very difficult for you to cast a spell with a verbal component.
That's
until you get something to drink to kind of wash it down and help get rid of the dry mouth.
Gotcha.
You're going to have some difficulties with that.
What do you think of the
I think Akris in that it's not even words. It's very cat hawking up a furball type deal.
Is there anything in the room with us? Any pitchers of water?
Nope.
Food?
Nope.
Okay.
There
And
were
our
blankets that were on you seemingly at some point, but now they've kind of fallen off of your bodies.
We can drink the
you've waken up.
blankets.
And our stuff is gone.
Yes. You are wearing any armor that you were wearing, along with any clothes, but any possessions that were not jewelry and anything obviously magic was taken from you. However, it is worth noting that you would know if you had lost your bonds with attunement to various magic items, and that has not happened, which tells you that your magical items are close by.
Real close.
Because otherwise, any significant length of time, as is implied by your situation, you would have lost that attunement with those magic items. So they haven't been entirely removed from the possession, but they're not in the room with you.
So just for clarification, because you said magical things have been taken, but armor is on us, so the overcoat that I wear is magical. Has that been taken?
Yes, that has been taken from you.
Okay.
I should have clarified any mundane armor or
Gotcha.
clothing is still on your person.
Gotcha. Interesting.
I'd like to, if I could, maybe just kind of like see if I can use like one of my claws to kind of cut through the rope.
Ooh, that's a good effort. I will call this. So I'll let you choose between acrobatics, sleight of hand, or athletics. However, know that if you do it with athletics, that's more of like a physical straining sort of thing. And if you fail by over much, it's going to cause you physical injury.
Okay. I'm going to. They're all plus. I'm going to use sleight of hand.
Go for it.
That's an natural 20. Hey.
Okay. Yeah. You're able to kind of wriggle your way, one hand free from the rope, and kind of cut the remainder of it to get it the rest of the way free. Also, for what it's worth, Barrick is not bound, so
I'll let him have that.
he
'cause
could just untie you.
Yeah.
I think with
as
my
he's-
perception, like everyone's
Sure.
perception was so high, Acker still didn't notice it. He just knew his hands were tied and he was like, oh no, not today.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I get
Barrick
it.
definitely saw it happening and was like, okay, I'll go help Cassia. So
Okay.
he'll go to untie,
And I'll help Sorbier.
Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Were you untied this whole time?
Yeah.
Fine.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Do any of you know anything? Were you all asleep?
Last I
Yes.
remember, we were bedding down for the night.
Yeah.
That's what I remember too.
Now I've got this taste in my mouth, and my tongue's a little swollen.
Unless somebody else would like to do something, I want to approach the door. Is there like a little window? Is it a solid door?
It's a fairly standard solid door. It does have a lock upon it, however. Like
Okay,
you can
but
you
there's-
can see the keyhole from this side as well to know
Okay.
that it has some kind of a lock. And if you try the door jiggling the handle, it's apparent that it is locked.
But there's no like small window with like bars or something on it that I can. Okay.
The room is lit.
Windows?
The room is lit by a pair of oil lanterns that are kind of hanging on on two of the walls, and they look like they've got enough oil in them for maybe an hour or so left. So they've been burning for quite a while since anyone had come in to tend to them.
Okay. So we've obviously been here for quite some time. Okay. Well, we obviously have to get out of here.
So I'm a little worried about Develian, so I am going to attempt to send a message if he is within 120 feet of me, and the spell works.
It's a verbal component, right?
It is, and actually, never mind, because it does also need. I'll look around. There's no like bits of copper wire laying around, are there? Just
No, there is
randomly
not.
on the ground. Let me double check something because I think I have sending as well.
Are you relaying to us that you're going to try to get in contact with Devillion?
I am.
Do you really think that's the smartest thing?
Why wouldn't it be?
He's obviously not here with us. There has to be a reason.
I'm wondering if during his watch we were jumped, and maybe he's been injured, or worse.
Wouldn't he have sent something to us?
It seems that we've been bamboozled in some manner.
I don't think Devillion's in any trouble.
Oh, do you think he got away?
No.
Well, do you think that... I'm confused. What are you trying to say, Akris?
The last thing we remember is bedding down. Now we're tied up in a room without Devillion. He's the first one to aggression. He's the first one to anger. I've never felt right about him since the start of this troop.
He's also had a lot of accurate information along the way. He's been speculating every step what's next quite accurately.
Yeah, he's been an invaluable resource.
Inclined to side with Akris on
I'm
this.
confused. Are you...
Zorver, he set us up.
You're saying that he's the one who put us here?
He's responsible for this.
That I've known Devillion for years. That doesn't make any sense.
How much do you really know about him, other than cordial glances at parties and the occasional happy birthday?
Well, okay. There was the one time where he stopped. But okay, not really all that much. But
would you trust him with your paperwork?
Well, no, I don't trust anyone with my paperwork.
Exactly.
I wouldn't trust you with my paperwork.
All right.
I wouldn't trust you with your paperwork either.
Let me take a look and see if there's anything that I can do that doesn't require.
Beth, Barrick has been kind of quiet through all of this.
Yeah. He's, I think, just trying to add everything up, put together the information that he has gained on this journey that they've been on, things that he, has known previously through his work, and then all the while trying to listen and assess and think of plans and backup plans upon backup plans for what they can do, as he sort of listens to everyone start to, make sense of it.
Look, I'm just going to check at the door. And I go and I knock on the door. Hello? Is anyone out there?
You do not get a response.
Oh, good.
I will attempt to cast Prestidigitation and make my voice louder.
Is that? I think
Wait.
that's thaumaturgy that does that.
Oh, you are right. So
Yeah.
Prestidigitation,
You can make other noises.
yeah, I'll
Like
make a
figment
loud
of-
knock, I
Figment
think.
of noise.
Wait, don't do that.
I would like answers, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I don't think alerting them that we're awake would be the best. Element of surprise.
Well, where are we going to go?
Out the door first, and then we can assess once we get that far.
I think that without our gear, with Devillion potentially having given up any information on us, it might be best to comply, at least at first, so that we can get out of this room, see what we have out there, and then start making moves.
That's a plan.
No. Here's a good one. What's in the room with us? So there's like blankets. Are there any tiny objects?
There is some blankets, a fairly decent sized couch, and two
couch.
decent sized large sitting chairs, and then like a 4 foot by 4 foot table, and then the lanterns that are hanging on the wall.
Oh, so this is like a multi-purpose room. It's not like a prison cell.
Correct.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
for all intents and purposes, this is like a sitting room, basically.
Is there a lock on the door?
Yes, there is a lock on the door, and you all have a good enough passive investigations and perception and such to know if you want to do an investigation check, you absolutely can, by the way. But you can also tell that there are like markings on the floors and some like faded portions of the walls and such that would indicate that there were recently other things in this room, like decoration and such, that have been removed.
Like it's been
there's-
looted?
No, just like there was a bookshelf that probably sat in the same spot for several years, and
Okay.
you can kind of see that worn spot in the floor, and it has most likely recently been removed.
That cartoony outline. It's like on the wall.
Is there any kind of gap under the door? Like,
There's a big enough gap that you could slide like papers and maybe get like a pinky finger in, but
pinky
not
finger. So could you get a button under it?
sure.
Okay, I'm gonna look around. Who's wearing a button shirt or anything like that?
I mean, I've got a button. I think.
Excellent. I'm gonna walk over. Oh, may I borrow this? And before you answer, I'm gonna rip it off.
I've got a button.
And then I'll walk over to the door and like kneel down and I'll whisper to the button. Now, if my magic works, then it sprouts arms and legs and becomes a creature under my control for 8 hours.
Okay.
Ooh.
So what level is the spell?
This is level 3.
Okay. I need for you to make a Constitution check, please.
Yeah, this will be good. Come on, dice, don't fail me. 10. Never mind.
So you do, in fact, use a third level spell slot.
Okay.
And as you are invoking the magic, all of you can see him using his voice and attempting to sing a song of magic and arcana. And the magic just fizzles before it comes into contact, and Zorvir begins coughing and hacking furiously to the point that it actually causes him pain in his chest.
I will walk over and hand your button back to you, Barrick. I'll show that back on later.
It's all right. He'll put it in a pocket.
I cast mending.
I was gonna cast mending, but after hacking up a lung,
We may want to use less magical opportunities. If I could, it's probably not going to work. Can I use a combination of my claw and a feather from Zorvir to try and pick the lock?
Incredible.
You can, but you'll be rolling at disadvantage for improvised thieves' tools. And are you proficient in thieves' tools?
Absolutely not. Taker's
Okay.
tools? Definitely.
Guidance?
Hi.
Do you want to attempt to cast a spell?
Me? Yes.
Mhm. All right, I need a
Is my ring of subtlety still here?
It is not.
Oh, rats. So you need a con save?
No, a Constitution ability check, not a saving
Check.
throw.
Okay.
Oh, also,
18.
is it just verbal component?
I'm casting guidance, verbal somatic.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure there was not a material component.
Nope.
Yeah, 18 is sufficient to be able to cast a cantrip, though it's painful. Like, as you invoke this prayer, you can feel like your voice crack partway through. And the only thing that lets you power through that is your faith, basically, and you're able to give guidance to Akris.
At this level, was that? Is it still a D4? Or
It's a
Yeah.
D4, yeah.
it's okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna
So
attempt it at.
So it's a dexterity ability check with no proficiency bonus, and you're at disadvantage.
Hell yeah.
But you do get a D4.
I do get a D4.
Let's go.
Worth it.
All right, here we go. Actually, I'm gonna switch D20s on this one. Here we go.
Ooh.
Okay. 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 I'm gonna take that D4. Great. 17.
Yeah, you are using your claw, and the feather plucked fresh from Zorvir's lower wing. You're getting there, and you can feel a couple of clicks, and then you feel a pinch, and you think that you're about to perhaps damage your claw, and you pull your claw back, and instead the feather just like snaps in half.
Oh, do
Okay.
you need another?
No, I don't want to.
It's a good thought.
If I keep doing that, you're gonna run out of feathers.
Or
Miko.
claws. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I have a ring that is a magic item, but
Mhm.
it's invisible. So it's a ring of mind shielding, and you can
Ooh.
cause it to become invisible, and then you can make it revisible. Is that something that they would have checked for?
Well, as you go to feel for the ring, it is gone.
Damn.
Do I
Yeah,
still
wait,
have my
so
wedding
my-
ring?
My
You
commander's
do still
trench
have your
coat,
wedding ring.
it also is invisible. No.
Respectable.
Oh.
Okay.
And give me an insight check, Barrick.
Okay.
Mm.
9.
Yeah, you have no idea why that ring is gone. And it probably scares you a little shitless that that ring is gone.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All the more reason for us to wait it out, because they're savvy, and I don't think that we need to go rushing out.
I sit on the couch.
Well, I also, yes, given a little bit of time, maybe we'll have a chance to, shake off a little bit of this grogginess. I can't do much, about the cottonmouth, but we should be ready for anything.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I might have
The
something.
gears are
Ooh.
grinding. What you got?
I have
Ian?
the spell rot tattoo for 5th level.
Mm-hmm. That is not removed from you.
Right. So, oh man, I was waiting. I wanted to use that for something else. Nah,
Remind
I'm
me
gonna
what-
hold it up.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we're not gonna go that direction. Just to kind of get out of a door. I'll wait.
Doors, the bane of all D&D parties.
I mean, if we really want out that badly, do you want to just try to rip it open or kick it or something that I'm sure you can do, Barrick or Akris?
We could punch it, but
We could try. It might leave us a bit worse for wear, potentially.
As you are mulling this over, Cassia and Zorvir, with your passive perceptions, you're able to hear some footsteps in the distance as if someone had opened a door in the adjacent room and is now stepping into that room.
My head tilts, and I'm going to listen and see if anyone starts talking.
The footsteps seem to be coming closer to the door to your room.
Oh, someone's coming.
Oh, good.
Stay
Still
calm.
hanging out. Yeah, still hanging out on the couch.
As you stand there watching the door, you hear the sound of keys being placed into the door, or into the lock. Slight jangling and fumbling a little bit with the key to unlock it before the door opens, and in walks your friend Develian.
Oh, thank
Kevin,
goodness.
could you please describe what Develian is wearing at this point?
Absolutely. Develian is actually still wearing some finely appointed regular clothing. However, his armor and his weaponry has been removed. His big, kind of flamboyant looking overcoat that he has is removed as well. So he looks a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more like you would look if you were, like, say, resting at home. But he still has a very immaculate look to him. He still looks like he's very upkept. He still looks like he's very dashing, as always, just not ready for anything.
And as Develian steps into this room, he is carrying a tray with a glass pitcher of water and several other glasses, one for everyone and himself, that he goes, I'm assuming, to place on the table, Kev?
Yeah, I'll place it on the table. And then I'll kind of just stand back and look evenly at everyone.
Develian, I'm glad that you're well. We were concerned, weren't we?
Do you mind telling us what's going on here?
I thought by now it would be obvious. You are here. Part of the rebellion now.
The rebellion?
Indeed.
How long have you
Welcome
been
to a new
involved?
beginning.
What? Hold on. In character and out of character? What?
You will forgive me for not being more forthcoming with the information that I'm about to tell you, but it was necessary to make sure you all were free and willing accompliceness in joining the cause. And from what I have seen, what I have heard, you all are ready for such things now.
Develian, I don't understand. We need to go back and tell the Emperor about what's been going on out here so he can make things right.
No, friend Zorvier, we will make things right. We will tell the Emperor what is happening here with strength of our words, strength of our arms, I'll say looking at Barrick, strength of our minds, I'll look at Cassia, strength of our spirit, I say looking at Acris, the power of friendship, perhaps, I say
And
looking at
heart.
Zorvier.
Shit. Why all the pretense?
I must say the journey getting here was not one that was direct, and as such, my methods had to be equally clandestine.
Did you know about the ambush?
I did not.
Do I feel like he's being truthful in this moment, or
Give me an insight check, please.
While this is going on, I would like to have some of that water.
yeah? Well,
Mhm.
In a moment.
I trust that enough.
In a moment, friend.
It's a 14.
In this moment, Develian is being more honest and ironically speaking with a slightly different voice in doing so than you have ever seen him or interact than at any point you've ever interacted with him before.
You
And
will
for what,
forgive
for
all
what
the
it's worth,
pretense.
the ridiculous passive insight that Cassia and Zorvir have also has those same connotations.
I apologize for the misconceptions and for the deceptions that were necessary in this cause. But I assure you, it was for the good of the people.
When did you get involved with this?
With the rebellion.
Yeah.
It has been nigh 3 years, to be completely honest. I have spent a great amount of time compiling resources and working underneath the Empire's nose. The Emperor himself sends me on certain applications of my skills that he is not aware of what they are truly being used for.
So, the party and us getting sent off, did you orchestrate that?
In a manner of speaking, I did, but not entirely. If I may indulge you with a true story for once.
Please.
There was a bit of manipulation that was necessary. Lord Prumble is a bit of a blowhard, as the young people would say, and they required a certain amount of manipulation and dealings with him to make sure that he would ease the Emperor in the right direction. The involvement of the four of you, however, was unseen. I knew I myself would be sent on such a mission. My duties with the Shadow Council make it necessary and oftentimes needed. But the four of you being involved was a stretch indeed. Because of such, it required a bit more finesse. And with that being said, I, for once, was not entirely prepared for that plan. I spoke with the rebellion's leader, and the Moon Sage told me that we should attempt to recruit you. I must say, Zorvir, you and I have been allies for many years, and that was not a lie, but certain elements of our interactions were.
I
had my eye on you
just my
before-
ridiculous insight would have pointed it out.
Well, one would certainly hope. I will also admit I had my eye upon you for a few years as well, Lord Barrick, for other purposes that will be soon made clear as well.
Were you involved with the attack on my home?
No, of course not.
Do you know who was?
I have suspicions, but I do not know directly, no. It has been a personal quest of mine. I have a vested interest in your family and its well-being. But I must say...
Please,
good.
Kev, please roll
Yep.
a persuasion or deception check, please.
Sure,
And then
I will be happy
I
to.
need insight checks from everyone else, please.
Do you want me to announce what I'm rolling out of those two things?
No,
Fucker.
Okay.
you don't need to tell me.
Oh my gosh.
That's an
No
8.
lie, natural 20.
Shit.
So it's 26.
Okay.
Mine was not a natural 20, but
I'm
I
sorry,
also have
27.
a 26. Oh, rats.
Sorry. I was looking at my perception skill, not my persuasion skill.
Sorry, only a 20 this time.
Damn.
14.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make certain, Kevin, that you know this is out of character, and I'm trusting everyone to not use this meta knowledge. Develian did set that up.
I thought we were referring to the attack before the campaign began.
No, the
The
dinner.
backstory attack.
The dinner attack.
Oh, the dinner. Yeah, I had something to do with that. Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
So instead, my natural 20, my deception. Then, well, I would have answered differently then.
Yeah, that's what
Well,
I was thinking.
yeah.
I thought
No, I
there
thought
might
we were
be
talking
some
about a certain
confusion.
other one that I attempted to bring out of Barrick earlier in the campaign, and he was like, "Don't fucking talk about my family, asshole." That's what I thought we were talking about. So,
No, we were
forgive
talking...
me, one
yeah.
and all.
We
Yeah.
back
So
up a
instead, I
hair.
will say,
Devalian's just like, oh, there's been so many attacks. Which one?
yes, pretty much. So instead, I will say that it was necessary to test your reaction and the reactions of the group. The man who attacked you was dealt with accordingly. The assassination, as it were, was completely and utterly controlled. No one would have actually been harmed in the attack. It was merely a test.
You can see on Barrick's face that he's been listening, and he's been patiently taking all of this in. You do see a flash of just pure anger, and he sort of takes like a half step towards you, looking very tense, and then sort of just leans back and keeps his cool again with that knowledge now.
Develian will cross around the table. He'll pick up the pitcher. He'll start pouring it into one of the goblets while he continues to talk, and he says, I will say the other attacks, however, were not caused by me. The Reclaimed was an unfortunate yet very welcomed surprise. They have been a thorn in my side my entire time trying to aid in the rebellion, and they're rather evil. I did not lie about that, friend Zorvir. Their evil and manipulative practices went against my very core. The fact that they are destroyed was actually in the right way. And I will extend the goblet out towards Barrick.
He'll take it and set it down on the table.
I must say, you, High Priestess, you were a bit of a wild card indeed. I could tell from our initial interactions as I attempted to glean what sort of information you had about the theft of the books from your home, temple, and library, that you were not on to the fact that we were responsible for that as well. Although I suspect you had your suspicions. I can tell from the very beginning that you did not trust me either, yet I would dare hope that I made an impression.
You are indeed a difficult person to trust. I would say even now. What is the end goal of all this? What are you planning from this rebellion? What do you want from us?
Zorvir could perhaps relate it better than I, but you have seen the people. You have seen what they deal with on a daily basis. These people are not people who are looked out for by our empire. They are stepping stones on the path of Durantan's own personal greatness, his delusions of grandeur that he is a growing force. He is one of the ascendants, so he would claim. This is folly. This is dangerous. It is a lofty goal that will destroy all that we hold dear. And the people will be crushed beneath the grindstone of the Empire's wheels. I will not allow this to happen. My family has been loyal to the Empire for several generations. And for nearly 230 years, so was I. Until I too saw the people, learned of their strife, and knew the truth, finally. Durantan must be stopped. His unholy cause will be the end of us all. His madness will be our undoing. I would extend to you all, on behalf of the Moon Sage, positions here within our rebellion to aid us in claiming victory over him and freeing the people of the injustice that is the Empire's current reign.
Who is this Moon Sage that you speak of? I don't recall any tax forms that by that name.
I suspect that the Moon Sage, when she is ready for you to know who she is, she will make her presence known. I have been instructed to not speak more of her besides her title.
Given what has just recently occurred, I do glance at Cassia just to glean any insight whether she's the Moon Sage, because all of these people around me.
I guess the jig is up, Deb. You gotta unveil it now.
That's it. Double plot twist reveal. What?
Right?
since we have this moment, actually, go ahead. Barrick can roll a history check with advantage, and Cassia and Zorvir can also both roll history checks. Unfortunately, Ian, this is just information that Akris could not possibly know.
That's a 29.
26.
Nice.
16.
Okay. Barrick and Cassia have heard rumors of the Shadow Council. That it is well believed that there is a group of high-ranking individuals within the capital of Intresca that that have the ear of the Emperor. And in the same way, Barrick being part of the War Council, that he is part of, there is this other Shadow Council that is believed to influence or do the bidding of, usually, the Emperor in quiet and surreptitious, secretive ways outside of the normal political structures of the Empire. And particularly for Barrick, he has always been frustrated in that he's never been able to confirm the Shadow Council exists or know anyone who is on it. And for Cassia, I think that this confirmation that it exists is more that her knowledge with the secret things that she has access to knows that it existed at one time, and she just never knew that it still existed. And so knowing now that it still exists would definitely present a concern for Cassia and the people that she is also associated with. Please continue.
I see the fire that burns within you, young Akris. I can tell that you are one who is questioning your place in all of this. I can guide you down the right path, teach you of the ways of how the world truly works. You spoke already of how you question your place, as to whether or not you believe the people, and if you should stand beside them, and I can show you what good we can do.
I don't like you, Devilian. And I don't trust you. And from where I'm standing, I already have enough mentors and teachers. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious.
It is noted that you do not like or trust my facade, and for that I will accept. Perhaps in time you will meet the real me.
Perhaps.
So what now?
To be honest, that depends entirely upon you. From the very beginning, I can tell that you are the one who can help lead these people. Your control and your status within the Empire will make you invaluable. You are a man who is respected by myself, perhaps most of all, for reasons I will not disclose here. But I believe if you give me the chance, I can show you the truth. I can reveal what has really been happening and what exactly our skills will be needed to do.
Develian, we're only 5 people. What are we going to do? The best thing that we could do would be to go back to the Empire and approach the Emperor with what we have found.
Zorvir, that won't work.
Well, he can't fix things he doesn't know about. He's
He'll
only
kill you.
one man, no matter what his ego says.
We could go back and we could tell him everything, give him the best intel, and he'd probably still kill us.
Kill us?
It's not going to happen.
Why would he kill us?
If what Devalian is saying is true, we're part of the rebellion now.
I need to sit down.
If I may tell you yet another tale, I promise this one is true as well.
Fine.
Do the continue thing with my hand.
And with that, I'll start pouring the water into the other 3 goblets, but leave them on the table.
There's 5 goblets, one for
okay.
each of you, including yourself.
Okay. I didn't realize I had one too, but
I'm gonna grab one. Can you use some
I'm
water
gonna
right now?
sniff it before.
yeah, I
drinking it.
don't stop them from taking them. I just don't offer the rest of them the way I offered Barrick one.
Before you get into that, you're trying to sniff it to see if it seems like anything other than water.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a perception check. You can use your passive if you want. You don't have to roll if you don't want
Sure,
to.
I'll use my passage.
It smells like gloriously clean fresh water, and it has a slight chill to it as well.
I'll take a sip in front of everyone purposefully, to show that it's not gonna harm me or anything.
Yeah. Zorvir is a
initiative.
horrible actor. You all know that he's faking immediately. And it tastes ridiculously good to you, Zorvir. He can feel it soothing his irritated throat almost immediately. And he's fairly certain that drinking more will help deal with that circumstance.
A bit of a side effect from the concoction we used to render you unconscious for the journey here. I apologize for that as well. But I promised you a tale, and I will tell one now. I'm sure you all remember the crowning achievement of Dronten's reign. Nearly a decade ago, when he freed those beneath him, he freed the enslaved, the weak, the powerless, gave them a purpose in the world, gave them freedom. I was there the day that he did such a thing. This was before I knew of rebellions and clandestine meetings and the need for truth. As he stood, looking out over all that he surveyed, looking upon his kingdom, he reached down to his belt. 2 frayed threads hung there. One crimson, the other gold, the dashing colors of his empire that he built up. He looked out over the people as they claimed and they clamored and they hungered for freedom and for justice. And with a whim, he pulled one. Gold. And thus, thousands of people were freed, given true purpose. Like his little playthings that he believed them to be, people who could have easily have all been dispatched had a red thread been pulled from a belt. Your emperor liberated and became a god amongst men. I wonder what he would do with the rest of us, now that his belt is no longer frayed.
There's no going back for us now. I hope you understand that.
The second I left, I knew such a thing. I was prepared to make that journey.
But you let us leave our loved ones behind. People that we care about in that city with that emperor. I can't leave my family behind.
There was a place for your family here, if you wish it. I cannot make any of you decide what your lives will be. I can merely pull the wool off that has been there since your birth.
It's incredibly patronizing.
How so?
I mean, you argue that we haven't seen the flaws and the cracks and haven't been doing our own work to try to keep the peace. I don't know. This is all wrong in so many ways. I don't even know what to think at this point.
Zorvir and Cassia both hear in the opposite or in the adjoining room a door, the faint sound of the door opening. It's not loud, doesn't make any appreciable squeaks or anything, but again, ridiculous perceptions and all. You hear a faint noise of a door and some soft footfalls coming into the room. And within a moment, the rest of you are able to hear some soft-soled boots scuffing against the stone and wooden floor of the adjoining room. And you hear a voice kind of ring out as a woman appears in the doorway, stepping into the room. A voice that Barrick instantly recognizes as this woman says, "I told you that he'd be a little hard-headed about things, Develian." And
I
before
grab a
you,
goblet off the table, and as I put it up to my mouth, you all will see that a ring appears on my left ring finger. And I will say, "Indeed, my love, indeed." And I will take a drink.
Ew.
You fuckers.
Whoa. Woo.
So you see before you a woman in her late 30s. She has a strong countenance. Her attire is leather and cloth, well crafted, but also extremely functional. She enters the room wiping her hands upon a cloth, and you can see upon her clothes some dirt and some mud on her boots. And her hair is slightly disheveled. She looks neat and tidy in general, but she looks as though she had been working at something, and there's enough sweat on her body to indicate that she had perhaps run to get to here, although her breathing is calmed, like she had calmed herself before stepping into this space. And the woman, as she steps into the room, she kind of smirks a little bit at Develian at his last response, and she fixes her eyes upon Barrick, and she says, "Hello, brother."
Kira, what are you doing? Oh, God.
I'm doing, actually, what you told me to do. 2 decades ago now, I think.
Yeah. Jesus, Kira, I didn't mean this.
No, you didn't. But this is where my life took me.
Why didn't you say anything about it?
How could I say anything about it? Why do you think I've been avoiding every potential family gathering that we've had for the past 8 years?
What if I had given the order to send troops out here and they mowed you over? Could you think?
Brother, I love you, but please know that you have no idea where we are. And by the time any such troops that you would send would even come close to this place, we would know and be gone. I have learned a great many things from you. Or actually, she would say Asker. I have learned so many things from you, Asker. And I hope you can take this with at least some compliment in knowing that it took every ounce of effort to not tell you these things. I knew for a fact that if I had come to dinner and spent time with you and Meryl in any capacity, that I would not be able to hold this in. I would not be able to keep this secret from you. When Develian informed me that you were leading this vanguard to hunt us, I didn't know what to think at first. I went back and forth between this is the end of things to what could possibly happen now? What would I do next? How can I save these people? How could we hide? How could we go somewhere? Where could we go? What would we do? And then I realized that this was the greatest gift that the Emperor could ever have given me. In this act, he has returned my brother to me. And now I get to be honest with one of the most important men in my life. And she turns and kind of looks around to the rest of you, and I'm deeply, sincerely sorry that the rest of you are brought into this struggle, and I hope tremendously that you will see what we have here before you make your decision. And if you do decide that you wish to return after all of this, to return to the Emperor and tell him what has transpired, I will not stop you.
Neither will I.
You don't seem to understand. There are things that you can't give us. My family is there. My granddaughter, who is one glimmering star in a endless night that are my people face. What would you have us do? Abandon them?
No. I would have you protect them from the inevitable destruction that Duranton is going to bring about.
From what you say, he's going to do that anyway on a whim, and
yes, and
there's
someone has to stop him.
He's not doing that right now.
Well, right now the latest intelligence. Right now, the latest intelligence that I have from the man who presses his undergarments tells me that he is recently taken upon some young woman that he has grown infatuation with. Someone that I'm sure will disappear, like the 7 or 8 others that have gone by way of the shadows in the past 2 years. And he is too smitten to even wonder where any of you are.
Now, I have documented proof that those women did not disappear. I have signed statements of property taxes. And
if you'd like, I could show you their graves.
Oh.
And judging by the power of this immensely important woman, and she gestures to Cassia, you could confer with their corpses to validate my statements if that so chooses to befit your necessity for proof.
I will definitely look to Cassia to see.
If she brought us to their graves, I could speak with them and see and verify that what she says is true. I'm inclined to take her at her word.
Your insights are 100% believing that she is not hiding or being in any way attempting to obfuscate anything that she has said.
But I signed off on documents saying that these women were living in places that the Emperor gave them.
Lord Zorvir, my husband has told me a great many things about you in the years that we have known each other. And he has always told me that you are an honest and honorable man. And I am telling you that I can, if necessary, provide proof to show you that you have been lied to about so many things, even your birthright. You have been lied to.
I don't understand.
I know you do not. And all that I ask is that you please believe in the words that I am saying now long enough for me to offer you some measure of proof of what this all is before you make any other decisions.
For the first time since this has all started, he looks at Develi and actually kind of glares at him. If any harm comes to what's left of my family, you and I will have words. And he sits down and purposefully looks away. It's a very small room. He lifts his wing up so he doesn't have to look at Develian's face.
If any harm befalls them, I will allow you to send me into the grave after them.
Barrick is currently looking like a man that got the wind knocked out of him. He's so angry, but the anger is very clearly coming from a place of fear and hurt and guilt, and he just keeps sort of cycling through all of those feelings. When the hurt becomes too much, he pulls up the anger, and then that fizzles again, and he's not the most talkative guy, but he's certainly been rendered speechless here.
And Kira looks at him for several long moments before she turns and looks at Akris and says, "And you must be his ward that I have heard so much about."
Yeah. That would be me.
You should know from the letters that Meryl has sent me that she loves you dearly, and she thinks of you as a son in many ways.
As you already know, Meryl and your brother are absolutely the best. I wish this was a better situation.
That technically makes me your aunt?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Kira.
If we want to think about it.
I mean, and Akris looks at Barrick and he goes, I mean, it's not wrong. I'm sorry that this is how you and I are to meet for the first time, but all things aside, I am very, very happy and glad to meet you.
And I you. And in some ways, it's probably good that we're meeting under these circumstances, because had we met in any other circumstances, I would have had to lie to you. And I do enough of that with people that I don't like. I hate having to do it to people that I want to like.
Understood. Not to be rude or anything, trust me, that would be the last thing I want to do towards you here.
You think that I've never had a rude conversation? And she kind of looks at Develian.
No, it's not that you've never had a rude conversation. I don't want to be rude to, looks back at Barrick, my aunt. And it's funny that she looks over at Develian because Akris goes, why? That was a choice. Yeah. What do you see that we don't?
Everyone is attracted to deep, powerful, and unbridled beauty.
You need to stop.
I am no exception.
You need to stop right now.
Yeah, man.
I'm being truthful. She is actually laughing at this. Develian, please. He could probably tear your arm off if you keep going with that. If it matters at all, Acris and my brother, Develian and this relationship evolved fairly spontaneously.
All right. Just...
Before it gets too deep, of course, those things aside, what I'm asking is, what was it from Acris is looking for something specific right now and to like turn his mindset. What was it?
Well, I can promise you it wasn't my beauty that turned him to the rebellion, if that's what you mean.
No, what was it that turned you to him?
Oh, turned me to Develian?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well, at first, I saw a petty noble that I might be able to garner a few thousand gold pieces from his rich and opulent family from, and didn't really think too much of it. Until he saw one of the several orphanages that I was helping to get sponsorship from. Till I saw his reaction to seeing some of the children that had been left without parents because their families could not afford to feed them. And when I saw his genuineness and his pain, I started having thoughts that maybe I could bring him into the fold. I had brought several other people into the fold, and I am saddened to say that a good number of those people have lost their lives being part of this rebellion. And you can see that she's genuinely kind of upset in this moment, and she says, "And in a short time, we're going to lay one of them to rest." She turns and looks at Beric. "I know that you knew Elendis. Hoping that you will come to the ceremony as we honor him for his sacrifice."
Yes. And in this moment, Beric is sort of, I guess, drawn out of their current space and finally, like, actually sees his little sister. And he'll just go and hug her.
As he embraces her, she at first reacts with shock, but then she kind of just melts into his arms, knowing that, you know, this is the first hug that they have shared in probably a decade. And there is a distinct silence about the room as this happens. As she pulls away from her Oscar, and she kind of pushes him back just a step as she kind of rights herself, and he can see in her not just his young sister, but a woman that has grown staggeringly from the child that he might have always kind of envisioned her to be. That she no longer has that same wistfulness that she had, that desire to learn and be part of anyone and everything. A lot of that is gone, and she is more stalwart, and you can see in her eyes that she has seen some difficulty, and she is holding it together with remarkable stoicism.
He is equal parts proud of her, not for holding it stoically, but for everything that she has clearly accomplished in this time, but also he feels deeply sad that she can't just be, his little sister, and now she's part of this entirely fucked up situation that we're all in.
We offer all of you only the truth and a chance to glean it. If you do not wish to listen to me for my previous deceptions, listen to her. I have found the Moon Sage to be...
Don't call me that. You know I don't like it.
You gave me direct orders that I was to refer to you as the Moon Sage until you made your own presence known.
Did you make that up yourself?
No, I
Can
didn't
we
make
not?
that up myself. Look,
This is
this
nasty.
position
There was
that I am
one
in.
time in the bedroom, and I said no more
That's-
after that.
Exactly what I thought, and I was like, that's so fucked. God.
That's why I jumped in. I was like, "Can we not? Like, this is not right here.
I've been real calm with you, Develian, but I swear to God.
Maybe over some drinks first."
Oh, man.
Look, this position of authority that I am in is not one that I wanted, but it's one that I took up. And the people that look up to me gave me the title. And it gives them hope. And I'm not going to ever take hope away from these people. They deserve it in so many ways. And if it means that I have to deal with being given a silly title, it's the smallest price that I could possibly pay to give them hope.
Well, it suits you.
It's kind of a cool title.
Moon Sage. It's not bad.
And given Cassia's knowledge and history and skills, I will say that she catches a glimpse of a chain around Kira's neck, that, like, her scarf comes away just far enough for her to be able to see, and she sees a holy symbol of Luniesh upon her neck, quite clearly, Luniesh. And she makes that connection that somehow Kira has an affiliation, given the title and the ascendant which she seemingly worships.
So at this point, no, go ahead.
Are we planning to leave? Are we planning to leave this room in this moment?
Are you asking that in character?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Kira says, I understand that you all are probably sore, and you should take some refreshments before we step out and hear and see everything. But we can leave as soon as you're ready. But please, have some water.
So I'm going to stand at this point, and I have been working a nail out of the chair that I was sitting in with my talons. I'm just going to pocket that. It was actually to prevent violence should it be needed, but seems like the violence is not going to occur. So there's that. I will stand and face Kira and reach for her hand. If she gives me her hand, then I'll bow to her and put her the back of her hand against my forehead. It's not really a good way for Aarakocra to kiss somebody's hand. You could lick it, but that's
no lips,
apparently weird to lick other people.
Yeah.
Please don't lick my sister.
Right.
As you go to do that, you extend your hand and she extends hers, and then she sees what you're about to do, and she clenches your hand tightly, and she starts to pull her hand away a little bit, and she says, "If I may," and she steps up very close to Zorvir, and she kind of pauses for a moment as if waiting for acceptance of her closeness.
Yeah, he stands there, looks around with his eyes at everyone and blinks a few moments, he's not used to non-family being this personal. And then he'll just kind of, you see his wings kind of settle as he relaxes.
She reaches up and puts her hands to the sides of Zorger's head, and she closes her eyes and leans her head forward in a very, very pristine and traditional manner for an Aarakocra greeting.
Yeah, and it doesn't take him long to, like, reciprocate it, but he does have that, like, blink, just, like, staring at her right here. And then he closes his eyes and reciprocates the greeting.
And as your foreheads touch, she lets out a very, very good facsimile of an Aarakocra soothing hoot that, not very loud, but it's the sort of greeting that Aarakocra are known for in saying, "I see you."
And it's kind of hard to tell when Zorvir smiles, but you do see, like, the corners of his, I don't even know what that's called, but, like, the back of his mouth kind of tilts up a little bit.
And she pulls away and she says, "I hope that was all right. It's been about 2 years since the last time that I saw an Aarakocra."
It has... Our numbers do seem to be lessened these days. That doesn't surprise me, but that was a very good.
As you say that, these days and lessened and all of that, you can clearly see a sharp wince of emotional pain come across her face.
Okay.
In time, I can tell you more of that, if you are ready. When you are ready.
He's gonna let that go for now. It is an honor to meet the sister of Sir Barrick, who has seen us safely this far. And he, like, looks at... I look at Develian again. I mean no disrespect, but I do hope that your methods are more careful than your husband's, as unfortunately he has led many of our allies to their death.
You are referring to the Reclaimed. You have my sincerest and utmost sympathies and sorrow for that experience. Had I had any inkling that might even possibly occurred, I would have let Develian know immediately.
If Develian knew that the Emperor was going to do this and send him, then he should have taken measures to make sure that others weren't drug into the equation.
I will claim responsibility for that, as
each person is responsible for their own actions. I do ruffle my feathers a little.
He did not know what to do, to be honest. When Barrick was given this task, it shook him. She looks over with sympathy at Develian, because he knew at that moment that he could not keep the rebellion safe any longer in the ways that he has been. This is not the first time that someone has been sent to gather information about a uppity organization stealing from the Empire and things like that are directly related to the things that we do. And in many of those instances, Develian kept the rebellion safe, and that sometimes resulted in those individuals losing their lives. Hard decisions, these things. Not ones that I ever thought would need to be made. Certainly not ones that I ever thought I would need to make myself. And you can see this kind of lost expression for a moment.
Barrick will say, not unkindly, and really just more as information, not as a condemnation or pointing a finger, but it just we lost Bastion for a little bit. He's okay, thanks to Cassia. He was gone.
I am in your debt, my lady. And she does a very, very formal and practiced bow that Cassia would very much recognize as a bow that she has received by members of her order many times over whenever, she is approached with her high status within the church. And it's almost perfect in its expression.
There is no debt.
There are many debts that many people are paying for this rebellion. And all that I can hope is that one day everyone knows how worth it all of this has been. And on that note, we're going to take our break.
Oh, whoa, wait. I had a thing.
Okay. What do you got, Ian?
Seeing this moment and hearing everybody speak about responsibility and now new family and things like that, I assume that once we all try to exit and kind of gather our thoughts outside this room, I do want to hold Barrett back to speak to them as privately as I possibly can.
Okay, that's actually something, because we're going to pick back up after the break with everyone leaving the room. And so that's something we can totally pick up right after the break if you want.
Beautiful.
Sweet.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will take a short 5-minute break and get back to this family drama and see where all of this craziness leads us. So, yeah. We'll be back in just a few minutes, folks. See you soon.
2 and 2.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for joining us returning to this wonderful story of just joy and love and caring and togetherness that is coming about in today's session. I am just so happy with I am happy with everything that has been going on, particularly the curveballs that I was able to throw there, because it was fun. But yeah, welcome back. Let us jump back into the fray. So there's not really any small talk that occurs after this, where we had just left off. Kira just, makes sure she takes some water as well, because, you could tell that she actually needed some. And she, makes sure that everyone gets a drink of water as much as they want. And she kind of, in an almost motherly sort of way, checks in with everyone to make sure, are you absolutely okay? Because we're going to do a little bit of walking and, she knows that everything that you've dealt with has been hard and all of that, before you all start to kind of exit out of the room. And as you all exit out of the room, Akris, you hold Barrick back for a moment.
Yeah, how are you feeling about all this?
Oh, I don't have enough time to tell you everything.
Yeah.
How about you?
A bit taken back. I think more so over one thing than the other, but it's very nice to finally meet your sister.
Yeah, I mean, I think you'll like her.
Already do. Absolutely. It's actually funny that you mentioned that. I guess when I ask you, how do you feel about this? More specifically, how do you feel about Kira and her involvement, being that it's so close to home?
Look, I know that we've definitely learned quite a lot on our journey here, and I think more and more we've understood why the rebellion exists. Maybe not necessarily, agree with what they do all the time, but there are reasons to doubt the Empire, and her involvement, I mean...
But you trust her judgment? Yes?
I do.
Okay. Because I do too. And it's more so because I know what you're capable of. And if she's anything of her namesake, this is probably the right direction. Do you remember where things got a little bit crazy for me? Like the whole position and notoriety and being pushed into this space that, I'll be very honest with you, I'm still not comfortable with.
I do.
You remember how that happened?
I do.
So, I mean, of course, everyone knows that I was tasked with the party to find the traitor within the Vanguard, and it just so happened that I was the one to apprehend them, which led to their execution. Oscar, before I continue, I need you to know that I respect and truly love you as a father, and I love and respect Meryl as a mother, and now I'm coming to know and respect your sister as well, and the level of importance your family is to me is of the highest. You know that, right?
I do.
Okay. With that being said, I always take pride in being honest with you, and this is a moment to do that. And there's a reason. It's a bit long-winded, and I'm sorry, but I'm a bit nervous about it. I didn't capture the traitor of the Vanguard. Ventress was his name. Honorable man. He felt the same way your sister did, and the way that Develian does. And unfortunately, before he could take action to become safe, there was already whisperings about a traitor. I just so happened to stumble upon the fact that it was him, and he was my closest friend. The night that he was captured, it wasn't because I found him. It wasn't because I apprehended him. It's because I was helping him escape. And because of my poor judgment, lack of planning, lack of skill, whatever, he made a decision. He made a decision to protect me in an effort that I would be and do better. Ventress died because I was not better or smarter enough to help him move faster, to help him become safe. And although at the time I didn't really understand his intention when it came to what we now know as the rebellion, I'm starting to realize the truth in it. I think I actually started to realize the truth in it before we started this. I mean, think about it, at that time when this whole thing happened and this position was pushed upon me, I came to you more to learn how to protect myself better. I don't trust a lot of people as much as I've made clear that I trust you and your family. And your sister being who she is, I trust her just as much. I think there's something to this. And Kira being who she is and being the one who's forefronting this, I think this is where we're supposed to be.
Barrick will sort of clap you on the shoulder and just sort of hold you there. I think that you have very, very good judgment. And I don't think that Ventress died because of anything that you did. Ventress died because the Empire is wrong. We were wrong. I was wrong. And it's going to take a lot of undoing to hopefully right that. But you are seeing things clearly. And I don't want you to ever doubt that in yourself. You have a very you're good and you're strong, and that is rather rare. So if you believe in this, even if I didn't, you should go for it. Now, fortunately, I'm on your side here. I think we've established that, so that's good. But you're good.
I appreciate that. I guess we should probably catch up to them.
Sure. Do you have anything else you want to tell me? Now that you're sort of open and sharing, and I've, got my listening ears on, and you're right?
Nope. Yep. Nope. Everything's good. Nothing about a vase that I may have knocked down one time with my hand.
I mean, I know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know you don't.
Okay.
No, I don't have anything.
All right, let's go.
Right. So, as you all, as I should say, as Akris and Barrick kind of hung back in the room, the others kind of were just gathered in the adjacent room, kind of chilling and sitting there for a few moments. If there was anything, Deb, Jeremy, or Kev, that you guys wanted to talk about, you would have that opportunity. So, as you all come together and exit out of this space, you can see fairly clearly that this is more or less a house that you guys were in. Like, you step into a common room, like a living space for the house. You can see a kitchen just off in the distance. You don't see anyone present, and there's nothing overly special about the abode. I mean, all of the furniture here looks fairly recently made. None of it with like amazing, affluent craftsmanship, but sturdy, strong enough, good enough, with materials that were probably harvested locally. In fact, and you step out of the house into what appears to be a village. All of you can plainly hear off in the distance the crashing of waves from the prime sea, and not too far off you hear the clucking and grunting of chickens and pigs As you walk about the space, you're able to see quite a number of things. This small little hamlet, basically, tucked away on the eastern edge of Insaris, is a fairly quaint village. It is introduced to you by Kira as Salt Haven, is its name, and you can see that it kind of... Oh, actually, I should put up a piece of art because I made it some. Let's do that.
Yeah.
You can see that there's a certain serenity to the place, as there's more or less a couple of dozen sturdy permanent structures that stand decently tall, especially tall compared to the many dozens of makeshift shanties that kind of lean against these more permanent structures scattered throughout the space. You can see fairly clearly, any of you that have any experience whatsoever with the building of things, that this place is probably less than 5 or 6 years old, in fact. And it occurs to several of you when Kira said that they could be gone before people noticed them. I mean, there's only a few hundred people here, and if they are sufficiently prepared, they could probably leave the impermanence of this place behind fairly easily. There's a kaleidoscope of races and ancestries that populates the hamlet. It's not more than a couple hundred people, mostly humans, dwarves, and half-elves. There are a few elves and halflings kind of drifting among them, and amidst the throng, you can occasionally glimpse the fairly imposing stature of a dragonborn or a Goliath, and once in a while, a little bit more often than that, the presence of a half-orc as well. And you can tell fairly clearly as you walk amongst these people who are looking at all of you. You can see that there's a measure of not reverence, but respect and honor for Kira and Develian, and intrigue about the rest of you as you walk among them. You can see in their eyes that they bear stories deep within their souls, and on many of them you can see scars on their bodies. The crashing of waves against the jagged coastal rocks that are not far off is somehow soothing. It's the roar and the tempest of it is almost akin to a lullaby for many of these people. And you can only surmise the kind of tempestuous life that many of them have probably led, given the calmness with which they carry themselves in this place. And you can see amongst all of the cacophony of everything, the animals, as I mentioned before, a grain silo that stands probably the tallest building amongst everything. There is a clanging of a hammer upon an anvil from an open-air smithy where you see a burly dwarf with fairly thick arms working on what appears to be just a hinge for probably somebody's door. And he has like piles of various metals for like creating nails and new tools and horseshoes and the like, the very basics of things that people would need in such a place as this. And distinctly upon his bare chest, you can see burns and scars across the entirety of his chest where no hair is able to grow anymore. And any of you that have familiarity with the kinds of punishments that were given to slaves in the decades prior, you can see definitively those marks upon this dwarven man. The large stable is probably the second largest building in the place, and you can see not only your horses, but quite a number of horses gathered in the stable as well, all appearing very vigilant and steadfast, the kind of horses that are used for speedy travel. The prized horse of a messenger or a courier or the like, that would be used for someone that needs to cross the vast swaths of Intrescan lands quickly. And amongst them, you see an androgynous half-elf moving with fluid grace and distinct expertise, tending to these animals. Their hands calloused, you hear a soft tenderness to the way that they speak to the animals, as if this is their purpose and they love their purpose so dearly to them. And as they glance at all of you when you walk by, there is a moment of fear at seeing strangers in the space. For the most part, nobody else has reacted in this way, but this person definitely recognizes you for who you are and your status and your appearance at the very least, and seems frightful of it. Even the presence of Kira and Develian is not enough to allay that fear for them. And as you move about and kind of get a feel for these people, you can see that they're unpretentious in any way whatsoever, wearing, especially in their attire, they wear simple tunics, they have worn boots, they all bear calloused hands of work people. Even some of them that you can tell just in the way that they carry themselves probably grew up in some measure of wealth. In this new life of theirs, it's simple. There is nothing special about any of them. And in that simplicity bears their specialness. You can see a vast number of them were likely born into servitude in Intresca, and now, seemingly as if they are survivors of that experience, have found refuge in this place, away from a world that showed them little kindness. And in this place, with the tumultuous prime sea beating at the edges, they have found resonance and a place in the world now. As you walk through, Kira says very little. She occasionally will greet one of them, anyone that walks near enough, anyone that greets her, she will share a kind smile and a greeting and a clasped hand or shoulder. At one point, a woman in fairly simple clothes with a toddler on her hip and a basket of apples in the other kind of approaches, and she offers all of you apples from the basket. She doesn't really say much, she doesn't really introduce herself or anything like that, but the trepidatiousness of her greeting is offset by her willingness to just share what she has with all of you. And she kind of curtsies past and moves on, assuming that you all take apples, which I believe that you do.
As they're all taking apples, Develian's going to slip out from being arm in arm walking with Kira, and he's going to actually go up. He's going to play with the baby for a little bit, actually make a prestidigitation, little shape in his hand, move around and do some little movements and stuff. And the baby giggles, and he'll just kind of give the woman a calm nod and return back to the group.
She, of course, smiles at all of that. It seems a familiar occurrence to all of you that are observing Develian in this new circumstance. Like, who is this man? Sort of circumstance. But you do eventually move on. And as you kind of reach the edges of this hamlet, it was a decent walk. The place is not very big, but you weren't walking fast, and Kira seemed to be more letting you kind of take in your surroundings more than anything else. And as you approach the edges, you can see a path kind of leading away from the village. It's not a road by any stretch of the imagination, and it's only slightly worn, as if, they don't get very much traffic in and out of this place. But it's clear enough that you're kind of standing in this spot, and Kira, without really looking at any of you, kind of just watching the village, watching over it in a way. She just kind of clears her throat and says, "And this is one of our havens. Salt Haven is the oldest. It's the largest of the various havens that we have created. We have about," she looks over at Develian, "a dozen, I think, now."
That sounds about right.
And they are places where these people that have been forgotten by the Empire, people that have been trampled on, that have suffered too much, places that they can go and hopefully find new lives.
Well, where do all of these people come from?
Everywhere. She kind of gestures over to an individual that appears to be carving on some wood, maybe making like a leg for a table or something. She is a human woman, just kind of simple clothes, fairly short-cut brown hair that's tied into a very, very tiny knot at the back of her head to keep all of the hair kind of out of her face as she is fastidiously going about her task. Without a beat, Kira says, "That's Lirael. She was a noble's daughter from Carvadorn. She was engaged to a cold and cruel lord. Thanar was his name, I think. And it was arranged. It was a circumstance that she would have been his third and youngest wife, the other two seeming having perished under circumstances, lies most likely. And she had someone that cared for her and sought to take her out of that situation. She found her way here without a single skill to keep her alive, not knowing that the best skill that she could possibly have is a will to do better and be better. And in the year that she has been with us, she's carved probably a table for almost every place. Every building that you see has a table in some capacity from her skilled hands. That man over there," she kind of gestures to another man who is just kind of sitting and lounging, kind of laying against a felled tree stump, breathing calmly and enjoying a brisk afternoon air. That's Dalen. He was a slave. He's a half-elf. He was enslaved for his entire life, born into it. In fact, some of his earliest memories are being forced to work in the mines near Ironcrest Mountains, earning no pay, of course, because no slave earned pay. And there was a cave-in that killed a dozen or so of his fellow slaves. He alone survived and managed to get away in the chaos of the cave-in. And to this day, he cannot stand being in a tight space. Most days, he sleeps under the sky, and on days where the weather does not permit such things, he sleeps in the forge, where there's a little bit of canopy at least for him to get some cover from, and the heat of the forge keeps him safe and well. You see that couple there? And she points to a half-orc woman and a human man just walking hand in hand, carrying bushels of some fruit or another. That's Fionn and Reika. Reika was from the Tribelands. She was captured and forced to serve as a gladiator. And Fionn, he was also amongst the other gladiators, although he wasn't there because he was captured. He was there because he was bought and sold, and he had the physique to be a fighter. When I came across the pit in which they were fighting, I was horrified by what I saw. And thanks to Develian's wealth and a few other people that I call friends contributing the cause, I was able to buy their freedom. And now they live here rather than fighting with each other with blade and steel. They bicker about the things that every husband and wife bicker about. And she just kind of sits there quietly for several long moments.
And that woman there, I'll point across the way, and you guys will all see the last remaining member of my entourage, the woman who I said was my paramour, slips out of the woods nearby, is one of our loyal scouts. She has fled the Empire as well. Apologies, not my paramour. But she has fled the Empire to escape a certain death, like her family before her. Excuse me for a moment, and I go to see what reporting she has about her most recent sortie out to the west.
Sure. She kind of turns and looks towards Barrick, or Asker, trying to gauge what he thinks about all of this.
So, while it is incredibly noble to have bought the freedom of that couple, it's not exactly sustainable. Are there plans to move forward with any force against the Empire?
Yes. But I don't think you're ready to hear them yet. And she turns and fixates her eyes upon Zorvir.
Zorvir is just kind of taking all of this in right now, not saying much. There was a small utterance about the apparent paramour being lucky to have survived this long as Develian walked off. But other than that, he's been really quiet.
Okay.
Cass, what do you think about all of this? What would this mean for the library? Like,
I have spent many years discussing the plight of people in the Empire in the greatest halls of knowledge. And what I've discussed comes nowhere close to the reality these people have faced. And I see how foolish those of us who stayed in our white towers have been. I have many questions, and I do long to hear the answer from Kira about what the goals are upon success. What will happen to the Eternity Archive and other places like it? What is the plan for... I have no love for the Emperor, but if the plan is simply to replace him with someone else, power corrupts, no matter the intentions you begin with. And so I'm curious to know where this is headed.
I am more than willing to answer any and all questions that you have, my lady. I would welcome a in-depth conversation, as in-depth as you would want it to be. It would be my honor to speak to someone from such an esteemed place as you come. And I don't think that anything that we would do would ever put in danger a place as the library. It existed before Duranton, and it will exist long after him, I am sure. As will much of Intresca. But it is time that Intresca faces the disasters that it has wrought. It is time for its Requiem. We can no longer sit by and watch as hundreds of cultures are being destroyed under the boots of the Aegis battalions. And she fixates on Beric as she says that. You know what I mean, brother. How many stories did you tell me of the conquests that you participated in, where some righteous and noble general of the opposing force squared off against the armies, his chin held high in defiance to the Emperor's will? You know what I mean. This empire destroys people in name of... I don't even know anymore. In trying to grow and bring every living being under the rule of one, it has destroyed so many people, so many lives, so many places where uniqueness was born from. And there is just a hint. There is just enough knowledge and lore and sound and music and life, and there is just enough of it left that if we act soon, we might be able to preserve it. We might be able to ignite a spark that lets these people know that Duranton is not a god, that he can be stopped, that people can fight back, that people can reclaim the lands that once belonged to their ancestors and create their people again. So here we stand. If you wish to leave, and she kind of gestures to the road behind all of you, I will have your horses and your things brought to you. You will have enough food and provisions to take you as far as you would like, and you can go, and you can tell anyone and everyone that you need to about this place and me and all of this. It will not matter. The next steps that we take will have nothing to do with this haven or these people. The next steps that we take will lead directly to Duranton. But I hope that my judgment is right, and that the things that Develian has told me about each of you are correct. And I hope that you will come with me and help me to stop the destruction that Intresca has caused.
On silent footfalls, Develian returns back to her side. They have found success. Ohana tells me that the mission was successful. They have much to report.
Good.
Well, I'm not leaving. But I need information whether I'm ready to hear it or not.
All right.
All
She
right.
turns and kind of looks to Akris.
I'm ready to listen to.
And you, Lady Cassia.
Oscar spoke earlier of cracks that we've all seen throughout our years in the Empire. There's nothing left worth saving there. I'm with you.
Thank you. And you, my Aarakocra friend.
So I stand there and I'm kind of staring off away from the village, and I'm thinking for a few moments. I am getting on in my years, and I don't have much worry for myself. But if you can guarantee the safety of my wife and granddaughter, then I would be happy to join your cause.
It would bring me nothing but joy to meet Orentha. I've heard many things about her from a dear friend, someone that I believe you know very well, a certain white-feathered, beautiful woman by the name of Kenrasa.
Yeah. Why am I not surprised?
It is not my place to tell you everything, Master Zorvia, but there is a legend that you do not know, and I would like to reunite you with your cousin so that she can tell you the legend of your people and how they almost ended the Empire before it began.
There's a story I would like to hear.
Then come with me, please, all of you. We have a friend to lay to rest. And then, after that, we will talk at great length. I promise you. And she reaches over and takes Develian's hand, and she starts walking back into the village.
As we start to walk, Develian's gaze will linger for a very long time on Zorvir's as we walk before he finally breaks and looks back towards the village as he walks beside Beric's sister.
I mean, I could just like smack him across the head one time.
Nobody would know.
Nobody
Is there a
would know.
cliff nearby?
I wouldn't stop you.
Wait, he can swim, right?
Yeah.
All that water?
He can, he can't.
Let's find out.
I still don't get it. I just don't.
Yeah.
What do all
I'll
of
follow.
you do?
Yeah.
As you stand there watching the pair of them go back into the village. Do you converse
I mean,
with
it's a
one
great
another?
sight, but you have to do something, you know? I mean,
Point of no return is right here. Akris looks at everyone, and he goes, "But from where I'm standing, there's nothing left for me back there." And it's kind of one of those, like, he walks back and he's like walking backwards and then turns around and he
Watch out for the well.
levitate.
remember that cliff we were asking about?
Nah, I'm good. I can fly. But yeah, no, it's like a slow turnaround to them. And he's kind of one of those, and then he turns around and he walks in the direction of Develian and Kira.
Kira.
Oh boy. Come on. Beric will follow.
I'll look to Cassia.
Here we go.
I'll nod and follow.
So as you all descend down the light path that leads into Salt Haven, the suns are setting behind you, and that casts a very, very luminescent orangish light across this place. And as that light touches the prime sea, the swirling and roiling waves of the ocean that give no quarter to anyone from land, you can see this almost beautiful regaleness of light that cascades through them, the mists creating this beautiful array of prismatic colors as each wave crests and falls in the space. And the mood of Salt Haven begins to change ever so slightly. As this place becomes more somber, you can see that people that you had seen not 30 minutes prior are all changing their clothes somewhat. Many are just grabbing a dark shawl and pulling it over their shoulders. Many of the men are putting on uniforms, old uniforms, beaten, worn, tired uniforms that probably haven't been worn except on very, very, very rare occasions such as this. Or some of them dressing in the best attire that they possibly could own. A slightly worn silk shirt and, pants that, fit them just right, but seem aged. There's little adornment other than their clothing. Even those that had served in the Aegis battalions and have the small medals or, insignia of ranks upon their lapels and their shoulders, even those are minimal amongst all of these people, as everyone seems to be gathering on the northern edge of the village. You all, of course, are led back to the house that you were in and given all of your possessions back, and you can change your clothes or whatnot as you need to with anything that you had brought with you. But from all of this that you're attending a funeral at this point, or at least a ceremony of some kind to honor the dead. And as you all are eventually led to this northern section of Salt Haven, you find easily 100 grave markings. Maybe even more than that. Some of you with very high intelligence and such can count and know that there is more, but it's hard to tell just in this sheer volume of this space. And at each and every single one, you can see fresh flowers. Probably not more than a day or two old. And they're in different ages, but it feels to all of you as though every person that is buried here is done so with honor, and there isn't a day that goes by that someone does not come and honor whoever is laid to rest in this space. You end up at the far edge of this graveyard where you can see that there is a freshly dug grave. There is a mound of loose dirt to indicate that a person was laid to rest there. And laying upon the top of that grave, you actually see a cloak. Very familiar cloak to anyone that has military experience. A cloak of someone that served in the Aegis battalions. A very, very honored and prestigious cloak, one given to only those that achieve the highest or amongst the highest of ranks within the battalions. It's a very familiar cloak to you, Barrick, because you know that it belongs to Enlendis Stallion. As everyone is kind of gathered about this space, you can see a number of people are actually drawn to tears as everyone is kind of gathered up. Many of you can hear small whisperings of people talking. There is vague, slight stories of, someone honoring how Elendis had, brought them something of great importance from their family in some town or another. And the sheer breadth of these stories indicates to all of you that he is someone that traveled far and wide in his last years that he has had here since leaving the battalions, traveled far and wide across Intresca. And it becomes very apparent that his travels were of great importance to these people, and probably other people from various havens as well.
Well, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but since we have our stuff back, I do pull out like a little notebook. It's usually what I'm like jotting down tax numbers in and stuff, but I like flip out over a page to a fresh sheet of parchment and begin like writing down a lot of this, because while I have a really good memory, like there's a lot of stuff going on, and so I'm writing down like notes on these stories because as much as I haven't dealt much with my bardic teachings, I'm getting the sense that these stories will be important in the future.
They are certainly important to Thorvir in this moment, because this probably rekindles a lot of how he became a master of history and lore and legend. Right, this is how he learned many of his legends. The legends are not just in books; they are in stories. They are in music. They are told over campfires, and so there's probably a certain familiarity that this rekindles in him of his younger years, spent traveling to some place or another, and listening to some tale at some annual festival that some elder person of whatever village, regales to, wide-eyed younglings over a fire.
Perfect.
Does anyone else have anything they want to say or do?
I think that Barrick would, standing next to Akris, as they're kind of overhearing bits about Elendis, and I think he would just kind of, turning his head slightly towards him but still facing forward, just say, this was a very good man, a great soldier and all of that, but he was a good man.
You can tell. Looks like he's going to be truly missed.
Yeah.
As that conversation kind of comes to that point, I slide up next to, as much as I can, being, feathered and have wings. And I say, it's interesting because this soldier has more being said about him than the Emperor on any given day.
It's true.
And I just kind of and continue writing as I walk off.
You hear almost surprising even Zorvir in that he didn't hear her approach behind him. You hear a chuckle from a very, very small individual female. You turn over your shoulder in surprise as you see Ohana, Develian's paramour, scout, standing there, having snuck up on Zorvir. And she kind of chuckles at him and says, "You haven't heard much fruits being said in taverns on a daily basis, then."
I was trying to say, nice things.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. That's 100% accurate, then. And as all of this is...
Is
Go ahead.
Ohana the one that I regrew her leg?
No.
Okay.
No. That was Acris's
Right.
love to be
Right.
Yeah.
Kendra.
Yeah, Kendra.
Perfect.
His unrequited lady.
His unrequited love.
She doesn't even know I'm alive, guys.
Gotta shoot your shot, buddy.
As you all are standing there, Kira kind of steps over to Barrack and says, "He talked fondly of you, by the way. We didn't get to speak overly much in person because he was usually off taking care of one of the other havens, or doing something that Develian needed done, or something that I needed done. He didn't spend much time with us, but whenever I did speak to him, he knew of you and talked highly of you. Would you like an opportunity to speak about him now? You don't have to, brother. I don't. I would never put you in... Well, I would try to not put you into a spot that makes you uncomfortable.
Oh.
You have the choice.
Yeah.
Do you want to?
I feel like he would prefer to be remembered by these people here than by someone who was a part of his previous life.
And that's fair.
So Develian will take a stride forward, and he is dressed in a very, it's actually, you all would notice, it's the same clothes that you've seen be two different outfits before. Now it's a third outfit. Magically, it's shifted once again. Now he is basically wearing all black. It's funeral attire, you can tell. It's still elaborate, but it's not showy. It's not going to take attention away from what we're really here for. And he steps forward and he stands next to the man for a moment, a long moment, you'll all notice, before he finally turns to face everyone. And there's a pause. And then he says, "Human lives are fleeting. They last easily. In the span of my lifetime, I could meet and perhaps interact with several generations of your own. This is not a detriment. This is not a disgrace, but rather this is a gift. You all here have witnessed a man walk among you, a man with purpose, a man with kindness, who is willing to step forward and support those around him. And because of that, we honor him today. Not because he is gone, but because he was here. We all walk a path that is unknown. And we all walk a path that will change even as we step upon it. But we do not walk alone. Each and every one of us will meet, live, love, perhaps even die with others that we share that path with. until the end. And then he'll turn, Develian will turn, and he'll kind of lean in closer to like the man, and he'll put his hand on his chest. This is very similar to what we saw before.
He's buried. He's already buried.
Oh, he's already buried. Okay, so
Yeah,
I'll crouch down to the. Forgive
to
me.
the
I'll
cloak.
crouch down.
Yeah.
And I'll put my hand upon the cloak, and I will say, "Walk in peace, friend." And then he'll slowly stand and turn and walk back with everybody else.
Ysterra puts a hand on Develian's arm and squeezes it before stepping forward as well. And she says, "You all knew Elendis Stallion as a savior, as a man that brought several of you to us here, as a man that took great care and with love ensured that so many people in this world could be better and live better than they had before. I can say with utmost confidence that the sadness that all of you feel is well earned and deserved. And I hope that you can see not this gravesite of such a wonderful and honest man, but see in each other what he has done for this world and for the many, many people that his single life touched. All of these other lives, you all now have an opportunity to touch as well. Honor him. Love him. And never forget him or the many others, and she kind of gestures to the graves, that have given their lives in one form or another to seeing the people of these lands given the freedoms that they deserve. And you can see there's like a faltering in her stoicism and the control that she has as she is genuinely heartbroken about this and about Elendis. And she quickly recovers and clears her throat. Lady Cassia of Alpraxis, would you honor us with a blessing this night?
Of course. Cassia will sort of step forward. You all hold the memories of Elendis in your hearts. And as long as you hold those memories, though he is lost, he is not gone. The light of eternity and this knowledge is carried forward with you. And so the blessing of Elendis and all of the good that he did carries forward into the world. She'll sort of make a sign of blessing upon the people, and sort of reach down and touch the ground as well. And you can see the symbol of Apraxis glowing on her head.
Thank you for that, Lady Cassia. And thank all of you for attending this. I know that it will not be the last of these that we come to. But I hope, now that we have these new friends among us, that there will be fewer and fewer going forward. And as she says that, there is a kind of not necessarily joy, the solemnity that occurs, but there is a distinct rising of emotion. There's a distinct happiness in your presence now, whereas before many people had concern and many people had, fear. Those same people now, as they look upon you, having taken part in this ritual and hearing these words from Kira, they see all of you, and there's a measure of hope as well. And that's where we're going to call it for tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my goodness.
So, thank you so much, everyone, for this lovely, lovely game tonight. There was some seriousness, there was some drama, there was some lore drops, and I am so glad that I have all of you lovely people to bring this story to light. You have, by leaps and bounds, brought a uniqueness to it that I could never have even imagined. So thank you. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, by the way. Those of you that watched and enjoyed this. We're going to go around the table and give everyone an opportunity to, once again, introduce themselves and say where they can be found on these vast webs of the internets that we all enjoy. And we're going to start with Beth. Beth!
Hey!
No tears today!
No, just
hostility and anger?
A sort of blind rage.
Seething.
Great unexpected moments there. Loved it. Felt it. I'm Beth. I can be found on social media at Beth Masco, and I can be found here at Wanderer's Haven doing all kinds of fun stuff. You may
She's
or may
putting on her
not...
producer hat, people.
Yeah.
Oh!
I didn't break anything yet. And I might have something fun coming up in July.
Yeah, you do.
And
She
it's
does have
gonna
something fun
be
coming up in July.
Pink.
There's going to be so much pink.
It has to do with one of the 2 movies that are coming out on July 21st. I'll let you guess which one. But it should be good. And today and always I've played Oscar Barrick, the guy whose sister married that fucker.
The guy. Just the guy.
That guy.
That guy.
How could she? But then again, how could she not? I mean,
And on that note, please, Deb, let everyone know the awesomeness that is you and where you can be found, please.
Hello, I'm Deb. I was playing Cassia, and trying to keep a cat from showing his asshole on screen. He likes to wander around. That's always my biggest concern is, all right, sit down. But yeah.
This is the Wanderer's Haven.
There we go. Well played.
You can catch him and me on Instagram at dsweats. And yeah, it's been super fun. Thanks for throwing some curveballs at us tonight.
Oh, I'm happy to throw curveballs at all of you. I'm just glad that they were actually curves. Ian, my oos, what's up, bro? Please tell us about yourself, my man.
You know what I like about this game? It provides the opportunity to forget that you're playing. There's been a lot of moments to where I'm sitting here and I'm going, what's gonna happen next? And then you go Acris, and I'm like, oh, that's me. Like I have to do something.
Well, you are up to the task, my friend. So
I'm only as good as the people who I'm surrounded with, and every single person at this is just light years ahead of what I could be, and I appreciate the opportunity to play with you all. I'm Ian. You can find me on all of the internets at your boy Big. I do a lot of stuff, and it's ramping up into the summer. If you want to know what's coming up next, just hit me up on Twitter. Man.
He's a busy man, too. You guys should follow some of his stuff.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of shit going down.
A lot of good stuff, yeah. A lot of good stuff.
Thank you. I'm so tired.
Oh, you haven't even started to feel the tiredness yet, dude. Wait for a month.
I believe it.
Yeah.
Believe it.
Trust me.
Get you.
We've been there. We've been there, my dude. Jeremy, I keep inviting
Hey.
you back to these things, and I know I joke about it, but I love every game that you are a part of. Thank you so much for
Aw,
being a part of this.
thank you
Please
for
tell all
having
these
me.
fine people who you are and what you do.
I am Jeremy. I'm going to school right now, so that has really limited what I do. But you can find me here on Twitch at Wanderers Haven, often at the same time as these other fine people. Head over to Twitter and follow me on WH Pubs for more. But I do want to shout out Kevin. I really appreciate you being that guy for this game, considering like everyone loves you. We appreciate you, and I appreciate that you're just absorbing all of the crap we're dumping on you for this game.
Just an RP chameleon, like
Right?
just-
Yeah. Good gravy.
And speaking of the RP chameleon that everyone wants to kill at some point or another, Kev,
It's true. It's very true.
Kev, please inform everyone about you and what you're up to.
Yes, indeed. Hi, I am Kevin. I can be found online on the socials at KevRan Games. When I'm not here on Wanderers Haven, playing with these fine, cool folks, and also running some other stuff as part of the dream team that is doing the channel stuff. I can be found every Friday on I don't even know what the hell. Lanat Eterna, sorry. It's another Twitch channel where I'm the U.S. ambassador for this really cool Grimdark setting game, 5th edition. Very cool. We got a new arc starting in 2 weeks. It's very exciting, very cool. Stuff's on YouTube. Go check it out. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, this is always a blast. Miko, I love the world. Everybody, I love these characters. I am so glad that our little gambit of let's see what happens if Develian does some stuff. This was set up before the game started, that I was actually part of this rebellion to begin with. And I've been trying to manipulate you all this whole time. So I'm glad we're here in the moment. I was also married to your sister before the game started too. So I'm glad we're here too. But no, this was awesome. This is an absolute joy. Thank you all so much for watching and hanging out. Miko, thank you for letting us help shape your world, because that's a big honor. I
Yeah.
know.
Well,
You know,
my
so many
world
content
would not be anywhere near what it is without people like all of you. So very much thanks to all of you too. Hi, I am Miko. I have been and will continue to be the OKSGM. You can find me on all the socials. There's links in the chat. Hit me up if you ever want to talk about running games, playing games, producing games, creating for games, because I do all of those things and a whole lot more. Pay attention to the socials because I've got more coming up. We're in the next stages of planning the next arc of Ysterra, by the way. There's going to be a one-shot on July 8th?
8th.
July 8th,
Yes, July 8th. That kind of
With
sets
a great
up
group of people.
with an amazing cast
Amazing.
of people, a couple of whose faces you already see here, and I hope very much that in all of the future arcs that there are, we get to see many more of these people's lovely faces, because echoing your thoughts, all of you, this has been an absolute honor to have you all at the table telling this story. It has been amazing. And yeah, that's it from me. Tune in next week where we get to find out what it means now that these people that were supposed to destroy the rebellion are part of the rebellion. Dun dun dun.
yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
We're doing it now.
And what legends lie in Zorvir's past that he doesn't even know about. Ooh. See you guys next week. We're gonna raid. Yes, I almost missed it.
Perfect.
Jeremy,
Oh my
I almost
gosh,
pulled a
you almost did it this
I
time.
almost pulled a U. We are going to raid over to Dark Tales here
Yeah.
in just a few moments. Yeah, check out the D&D awesomeness that they are doing. But see you guys all next week. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. Good night.